There is something magical about this game. It's more than just a cozy and mysterious setting, it's the combination that matters. It's basically two games in one. Neither game is great on its own, but together they create something unique. Let's discuss Moonlighter, since the second installment is set to be released later this year. Hi, my name is Peter and this is Rogue's Den, a channel about roguelike games. Moonlighter has a pitch that sounds like it was written by someone who couldn't decide what game to make. You are Rille, a shopkeeper in a small fantasy town who secretly sneaks into mysterious dungeons at night. During the day, you run your shop, setting prices, managing inventory, watching customers react to what you are selling. At night, you fight monsters, collect loot, and try to survive long enough to bring something valuable home. It's a shop management game, and it's also a Zelda-like dungeon crawler. Let's find out if this hybrid actually works. The shop is what makes Moonlighter distinct from every other roguelike adjacent game, and it's worth spending real time on it before we talk about the dungeons. Every morning you open your doors, you arrange items on your shelves, you set prices, and then you watch. Customers walk in, examine what's on offer, and react visibly to your pricing. A thought bubble with happy face means the price is too low, you are leaving money on the table. A shocked face means too high. They put it back and leave. You learn what things are worth by watching people's faces. This is a simple mechanic that turns out to be quietly compelling. The first time you bring back a new material from a dungeon, you have no idea what it's worth. You guess, you watch, you adjust. Over time you build an intuition for the economy of your little town, tracking what sells quickly, what lingers on the shelves, and which product mixes maximize your daily returns. The money you earn buys upgrades for the shop, for the town, and eventually for Rille's equipment. Which means every dungeon run is implicitly in the service of the shop, and every shop day is essentially preparation for the next dungeon run. The two halves are economically linked in a way that makes each feel purposeful. The dungeon side of Moonlighter is a competent Zelda-like roguelike. Procedurally generated rooms, real-time combat, enemy patterns to learn, bosses at the end of each dungeon tier. Rille attacks with melee weapons or a bow, using dodge rolls to evade incoming blows, while carefully managing his health. The combat is functional rather than exceptional. It doesn't have the depth of the dedicated action-roguelike. The enemy variety is decent without being spectacular, and the weapon selection, while covering several distinct playstyles, doesn't offer the build complexity that games like Dead Cells or Hades provide. What it does have is excellent pacing at the room level. Moonlighter's dungeons are intentionally short. You are not descending for hours, you're making quick runs, grabbing what you can, and getting out. The game nudges you to manage your greed through a clever inventory system. Many items are cursed, some might delete a neighboring item, while others require specific placement. This turns loot management into a spatial puzzle. You're constantly weighing the risk. Is a cursed relic worth the potential loss of other stock? Of course, you can always void items through the merchant mirror for a fraction of their value, but every time you do, you're watching your potential profit vanish just to save some space. Here is the honest question. Does having two games in one makes Moonlighter better or worse? The case for genius is this. The shop gives the dungeon runs meaning that some roguelikes struggle to create. Rille's motivation isn't abstract survival, it's economic. And that mundane, relatable motivation makes each run feel grounded in a way that pure dungeon crawling often doesn't. The case for distraction is this. Neither half is as good as it would be if the whole game were about it. The shop never reaches the depth of the dedicated management game. There is no supply chain complexity, no staff to hire and manage, no real market simulation beyond the basic price reaction system. The dungeon never reaches the mechanical depth of a dedicated action roguelike. The combat stays competent without becoming exciting, and the roguelike elements are light enough that experienced genre players will find it easy. Moonlighter is, in a very specific sense, a game designed around the seam between two genres rather than the center of either one. It's most interesting precisely where shop meets dungeon, in the economic decisions, the curse system, the deliberate choice of when to leave. Those moments of intersection are where the design is original. The pure shop sections and the pure dungeon sections are competent but rather unremarkable. The soundtrack really ties everything together. It's diverse enough to give each dungeon its own distinct personality, yet it shifts naturally between the cozy atmosphere of the town and the tension of the runs. It never feels like you are playing two separate games. The music makes sure the vibe stays consistent even when the stakes change. The dungeon difficulty is forgiving by genre standards. Death is inconvenient but not devastating. The runs are short enough that a failed attempt costs minutes, not hours. The shop gives you something to do between runs that doesn't feel like waiting. You're always progressing, always building towards something, even when the dungeons are fighting back. For a player who's curious about roguelikes, but intimidated by the genre's reputation for difficulty, Moonlighter is a remarkably accessible entry point. The cozy aesthetic, warm pixel art, a friendly town that grows visibly as you invest in it, soft music, keeps the tone gentle even when the dungeons are asking you to try again. For experienced roguelike players, the attraction is different. The shop isn't something genre veterans usually get. The change of pace, the quieter rhythm of a shop day after a dungeon night can be genuinely refreshing. It's a palate cleanser built into the same game. Moonlighter challenges a long-standing genre trope. What if the hub world wasn't just a pit stop between runs? Instead of static menu or a spreadsheet of upgrades, the game offers a second life. It proves that the mundane rhythm of running a shop can be just as rewarding as the adrenaline of a boss fight, turning what is usually downtime into the heart of the experience. Is the execution perfect? Not quite. The shop could be deeper, and the dungeons could definitely be more complex. But even if the answer Moonlighter provides is imperfect, the question it asks is vital. It's a game built with enough charm and design intelligence that the journey, seams and all, is still something you need to experience for yourself. And that's it for today. Have you played Moonlighter? What are your thoughts on its hybrid loop? Genius or just a bit too much grind? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, I have a small favor to ask. Please subscribe to the channel. It's a huge help for a new project like this one, and honestly means the world to me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next run.